Hello everyone, my name is Adiraj Sood and our group, which has Aishwarya, Dhruv, Riya and I, are going to present our research about an open source NoSQL database known as Apache Cassandra. In this presentation, we are going to discuss features of Cassandra like data storage and modeling, indexing, query processing, etc., and the application which we have built based on the Cassandra. And in the end, we will discuss how it is different from traditional RDBMS. Cass- Cassandra is a free and open source distributed NoSQL database which is designed to handle large amounts of data across many commodity servers, providing high availability with no single point of failure. This database was designed at Facebook to implement a combination of distributed designs of Amazon Dynamo combined with the data model of Google's Bigtable. Cassandra has peer-to-peer architecture instead of master-slave architecture. That means that all the nodes are connected to all other nodes and every node can serve client requests. Cassandra is a column-oriented database that stores data tables by column rather than by a row. Cassandra is a distributed database in which data is stored across different nodes. It was built to handle huge amounts of data, which is scalable, which means new nodes can be added anytime without any downtime. As it runs on multiple nodes, which makes it fault tolerant as there is no single point of failure. That means if a certain node fails, another node can fulfill the query result. It provides continuous availability, unlike legacy RDBMS, where if a master node fails, then it cannot process any new writes until we have a new master. Cassandra doesn't compromise any performance, which means it has efficient read and writes. Cassandra is trusted by many companies like Netflix, Facebook, eBay, and Discord. Discord chose Cassandra as it fulfilled all their requirements, as they can scale at any time and can tolerate a loss of a node without any impact on the application. Now let's dig deep about how data is stored in Cassandra. Data in Cassandra is actually stored in a column-oriented manner. Cassandra has nodes of clusters, and each node is capable of serving any request from the user. When any data is written to Cassandra, it will be first written to a commit log before being written to a Ming table. This provides a reliable solution in case of any unexpected shutdowns. Once the data is stored in Ming table and it reaches a threshold, then that data is flushed into SS tables known as sorted string tables, which are stored in the disk. SS tables are immutable data files that consist of multiple components in separate files like data.db, which contains the actual data, and index.db, which has index from partition keys to position in data.db. Cassandra is a query-driven model, which means that tables are designed based on the queries. It also supports indexing for fast and efficient lookup of a given query. Although its built-in indexes are best on a table which has many rows that contains an indexed value, it also supports secondary indexes, which we can create using SQL known as Cassandra Query Language, which is very similar to SQL. Now I'll invite Ria to continue with the presentation.
Thanks, Adiraj. Now I would like to talk about the key components of Cassandra. Keyspace. The keyspace are at the highest level of a Cassandra database. This is similar to a database in an RDBMS. Table. Table are called the column families and contain a set of columns with a primary key, and they store data in a set of rows. Columns constitute of a column key and a column value. Column key uniquely identifies a column value in a row, and the column value stores one value or a collection of values. A cluster contains one or more nodes that store data. We shall now move to the next slide. Query processing and optimization. We can create a key space by using create keyspace name. Similarly, a key space can be altered by using the command alter key space name. We can also drop a key space using drop key space, and a table can be created using create table. There are various data types for columns like bigint, boolean, blob, counter, decimal, double, etc. Cassandra also supports collection data types such as sets, links, maps, tuples, and nested collection. Batch statements can be useful for batch execution. Let us now talk about the optimization techniques that Cassandra supports. Compression, which is defined and configured on a per table basis, is an optional argument to create table or alter table. The default compressor is the LZ4 compressor. Caching is another technique to optimize a table. Secondary indexes help in quick lookup of data and can help in further optimization. We shall now move on to the next slide. Cassandra also supports transaction management. Unlike RDBMS, Cassandra does not support ACID properties. It is based on the base properties, B, which stands for basic availability. This guarantees that every request receiver receives a response about whether it was successful or not. Soft state is the state of a system that could change over time. Eventual consistency. Cassandra can be tuned to a consistency level. Tunable consistency is a unique feature of Cassandra that allows clients to specify a consistency level. The consistency level refers to the number of replicas that need to respond for a read or write operation to be considered complete. Cassandra also offers lightweight transactions that usually introduce high latency but ensure linearity in transactions. We shall now move to the next slide. Security support. Cassandra provides several security features. Firewall integration is supported by Cassandra that enables a two-way secure communication between nodes. It provides an AES 128 algorithm for SSL encryption that also provides a more robust and secure channel for applications. Cassandra provides role-based authentication and authorization that allows access to different types of users. Now I'll be handing over to Dhruv to continue with the application process.
Thanks, Ria. So let's understand our application and what we did in the application. So the main purpose of the application is to demonstrate features of Cassandra. To do so, we analyze the killer weather dataset provided by the Cassandra Dataset Manager. The dataset contains information about weather like temperature, precipitation, and pressure, which is based on weather stations as well as time, that is month and years. Now we aim at providing three main functionalities in our application. First, we would be writing a query to get the maximum temperature, dew point, pressure, and wind speed based on the year given by the user. In next implementation, we will be giving the result of temperature for each day of the month, year, and weather station entered by the user. Finally, in the third implementation, we will be asking the user for entering year and weather station details to get average pressure for all the months which they gave input for. We will be also generating a chart, a time series chart for the third implementation to analyze the pattern of pressure across the months. Now, let's jump on to the next topic, which is why we use Cassandra for this application. Why not some another DB like RDBMS, any kind of RDBMS? So to analyze this, we analyze the data set killer weather. Now, this data set is a streaming data, and generally the streaming data has high velocity and volume. RDBMS generally fails to handle such a voluminous and velocity oriented data. So here comes Cassandra. Cassandra can easily handle such kind of a data. Not only that, but Cassandra is an ideal fit for such applications because of its reading and writing capabilities. For reading, it has a fast and efficient access pattern due to less number of disk seeks. For writing also, the data is written to the disk sequentially after sorting is done, which gives it efficient writing speed. Now, our application aims to provide two main features which Cassandra has to offer. The first one being fault tolerance. So in fault tolerance, the fault tolerance makes sure that even if one of the node fails, the application persists to run and doesn't cause any impediments to the server side. We can achieve this by performing replication. What we do is we basically replicated the data among all the nodes. In our case, we created a cluster of 3 nodes, so we replicated the data among all these nodes, and we made sure that unless all the nodes fail, the application still runs without impacting the user in any way. This is one of the very important feature of Cassandra, which we demonstrated in our application. The next feature is distributed processing. So we leverage this by making the cluster of 3 nodes, and we did load balancing by segregating the data among all these nodes. So let's say in our application for the implementation where we have to find the average pressure, we distributed the data amongst all these nodes, and with the help of load balancing, each of our nodes performed the query for only some of the rows, and then aggregated the data, and we finally aggregate the data in our main node and display the result. Now let's see how we configured the cluster of these 3 nodes. Let me show you the demo. So we used a Docker over here and created a container which will have all the required setup for our environment. And as you can see, we have created various nodes, like 3 nodes here, which will be communicating with each other and making this a distributed processing. To start this, let's go to the project and start the Docker. So by writing this command, I'm starting all the nodes in the server. And as you can see, all the nodes have started and they have started communicating with each other. So this will take some time, and finally, after all the processing, it looks something like this. And our environment is set up to now run our application. So let's see how our application looks and what we have implemented so far in the application. And I would like Aishwarya to speak about it.
Thanks, Dhruv. So here we can see is a design of our application. Our application is based on the Django framework. For the front end of the application, we use HTML and Ajax. For the back end, we have the Django framework. To communicate with the Cassandra database, we have an abstraction layer, which is the Django Cassandra engine. So the workflow of the application is we have 4 endpoints. The first endpoint, it basically showcases all the queries and takes input from the user. Once we get the input from the user and the user clicks the input button, the front end will call the Django views with the parameters of the query. The Django backend, once it gets the parameters for the query, it would send that query to the Django Cassandra engine, which communicates with our Cassandra database, which has the killer-weather data set on it. And the database would then return the results to our Django Cassandra engine. The results from that is then returned to our Django backend. Django backend kind of formats the results and sends it to our front end, and the query results are then displayed to the user. Each each query has its own form, and the submit button corresponds to different endpoints for each query results. So I'll just give a demo of the application now. So this is the homepage of our application, wherein we are showcasing all our queries. We are taking the inputs from the user, and the user can hit the submit button once the input has been given. So our first query is maximum air temperature, dew point, pressure, and wind details for the year selected by the user. So I'll just input a year. When I hit the submit button, it calls the query one results endpoint with the parameter year equals 2013. And Cassandra has basically returned these results, which we are showcasing here. The second query is air temperature for each day for a given month, year, and weather station selected by the user. So I'll just give this. So this displays the temperature reported by this weather station in August 2013. And you can see 31 days of August here with their temperatures. The last query is average pressure per month for the given year and weather station. So I could give 2012. These are the average pressures reported for that month and the month for that year, sorry. And a graph was also generated for this query, which can be seen here. So this graph basically has a month on the x-axis and pressure on the y-axis. And we can probably analyze some data through this, like the month November had the highest pressure point, and June had the least pressure point. So yeah, these kind of analysis can be done with the Cassandra data. Now I'll hand it over to Dhruv to speak about the differences of Cassandra and RDBMS.
Thank you, Aishwarya. So now let's discuss the comparison between RDBMS and Cassandra. As we saw in the application, Cassandra can handle structured as well as unstructured data as well. However, RDBMS can only handle structured data. Also, RDBMS uses joins, whereas Cassandra does not require joins since the tables and relations are independent. Also, RDBMS does not support distributed data modeling, whereas we see in our Cassandra application that we could leverage distributed data modeling. We can also see that RDBMS cannot handle high volume and high velocity data, but we know that Cassandra can handle bulky data easily. Also, there is a one good thing about RDBMS that it adheres to ACID properties. That is, it follows atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Whereas Cassandra does not adhere to ACID properties. Rather, it follows the base properties. RDBMS does not support real-time performance, whereas Cassandra facilitates improved real-time performance. Finally, Cassandra supports a flexible schema, whereas RDBMS only supports a fixed schema. So these are the main differences between RDBMS and this NoSQL, which is Cassandra, which makes it very useful for real-world applications. Now, to conclude with, we can see that in the applications where the data is a streaming data, or where we need to ensure fault tolerance and ensure the application works continuously without any hindrance, we can use Cassandra in such scenarios. So I'll end the presentation here. Thanks for listening, and If you have any questions, we would love to answer your questions on discussion forum on our My Courses. So yeah, thank you.